All right, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another great Lunch and Learn. Today, our topic is new contract renewal system, what you need to know. And with us is a representative from our purchasing division, yay, Irina Grinberg. And you can see her here on camera as well. She's waving. So let me give you a little bit of background about Irina. Irina came to the US from the former Soviet Union 34 years ago. She has bachelor's and master's degrees in economics and accounting from Kiev Economics and Trade University. She's actually been working with PeopleSoft in technical and functional capacity for 24 years and has worked with the county for 5.5 years, in purchasing for 2 years, and came to purchasing from ERP. So without further ado, I'm going to turn over to Irina. She will be walking you guys through our new contract renewal system and what are some key things that you guys need to know. If you have any questions as she's walking through the presentation, feel free to type those in the chat, and then later on we'll address those. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Alexa. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to close my camera and I will start the presentation, and then I will go to an actual screen and will show you how the contract functionality and the new Brower Contract Administrator functionality live. And just the short history of why this functionality was implemented. And PeopleSoft now, not earlier, because when PeopleSoft was implemented, I guess because of the lack of time and maybe resources and the purchasing needs, that functionality was not in place, and to accommodate various notifications and contract administrators functionality, MARS system was developed by someone who was working for purchasing information technology team, but that person left county several years ago. And so between having MARS not supported and needs to update the functionality, update the notifications, that none of them were accurate, there became a time to implement that functionality in PeopleSoft, and one of the greatest, the ERP developer, assisted us in implementing that functionality. So now we can have everything in one system, which improves the functionality and reporting. So I'm going to turn off my camera and I will share my screen. Please let me know if you can see the PeopleSoft Procurement Management, Contract Management, PowerPoint, first page. Alexa, could you please?
Yes, we can see.
Thank you. Okay. So what has happened and why I already covered briefly that, but we are bringing procurement contracts and contract administration into the single data source that eliminates the redundancy in the contract administration process. Procurement contract module already being in use for years, and this is familiar terrain for many people that are accessing PeopleSoft, not necessarily for only contract administration or procurement contract, but for the different reasons. So the functionality of PeopleSoft in whole is more familiar to everyone. We, during the development, the existing screens were leveraged for implementing that functionality. Also, the vendors and suppliers prior to implementing, as we call MARS and PeopleSoft, the notifications from PeopleSoft were only sent when the contract reached the maximum threshold amount. And now the notifications are sent on the renewal, actually starting with awarding a contract to the new vendor with copy contract administrators and purchasing personnel, as well as the catalogers. And also the when the contract reaches the its renewal threshold, and there are two types of notifications. One is sent on by default when contract is expiring 120 days. The second notification, if nothing happens, go out 90 days prior to the contract current term expiration. That functionality provides an ability to automate multiple processes for the catalogers. We are still working on enhancing it based on the multiple conversations that we have with the catalogers to make their life easier, because and to reduce as much manual intervention as possible. And that improves the reporting capabilities, because the new reports and queries can be generated on anything that is tracked and stored in PeopleSoft, and that can be reported on. The next two slides, you will see the process overview. This slide is for the contract administrator and delegates. The next slide will be similar to this one for the catalogers. We're not going to go into details on what's on the screen. These slides are part of the job aid and part of the training that was provided to the contract administrators and to the catalogers. You will get this PowerPoint presentation as a handout, so you will be able to, if you want, you can go through the functions on each of these pages. I'll just touch the most important points. So then there are different queries that were created for this process. Some of them to be run by the administrators. They can run them ad hoc. They can schedule them to in their own query repository. And those queries provide them the information. What are their outstanding contracts? When the next term is expiring, and another additional information that allows them to take certain actions. The next slide is for the catalogers, and the reason that the middle, as you can see in the middle area, a couple of bullet points are highlighted, is just to make sure that those two mandatory pieces of information are present at the contract, exist at the contract on the contract page, because without that, the vendor will not get a notification. And we will look at that when I will go in the live environment, and I will show you that functionality. Again, this slide is for the catalogers. They can review the list of contracts by running a query that for which the action was selected, and they will make necessary changes depending on the action on the contract. And then they can also run different queries. Actually, the query for the catalogers is scheduled to run on a nightly basis, and every morning they get it into their inbox, so they don't have to make an extra effort to go and run the query. The next two slides are talking about as you can see, there are different types of users. There are catalogers, contract administrators, and each have their functions that they're working with. And so you can see that the catalogers that belong to the purchasing division, they can access the procurement contract page, and also can access related content, which is for the Broward County administrators, contract administrators. They can update the contract header on that pay on the new page. They can view the renewal answers completed by the contract administrators, can run different reports, and also as they used to do, their functionality does not change. They still can upload new contracts and items, and they can update thresholds and notification page if there is a change of the contract administrator or the delegate. Contract administrators are mostly directors, assistant directors, designees, and purchasing buyers, belong to all the in different agencies, and they can also maintain their page. They can renew and replace the contract administrator or the delegate. They can add renewal action row, and they can review all the information that is pertaining to a specific contract. The other users, as you know, the procurement staff, the director of purchasing, assistant director, purchasing managers, purchasing agents, risk manager, director, assistant director, and designees. Also, they are accessing contract because they need to have an ability to renew the contracts for the compliance. OSBD staff has an access to look up the contract and associated information for their for to make sure that it's compliant with the goals. And the county attorney's office also can review contracts as needed. Okay, and now I'm going to navigate to the test environment in PeopleSoft, and I'm going to log in as one of the contract administrators. John Wilf. I don't know if John is online with us. So as you can see, even the new tile was added to John's homepage as a contract administrator. So the navigation, I can briefly show you navigation. So procurement contracts, and that's the new menu item that appears under procurement contract after that functionality was implemented. Or he would be able to click the tile and get to this search page. So as you can see, there are multiple fields which can be selected for a search. The contract can be searched by a contract ID or multiple contracts based on the supplier ID. The description can be part of the search, or let's say, well, we can look in how many days the contract expired, as well as search by the contract administrators or the delegate. Let's look for all at all the contract that John has as a contract administrator. And here you see the list of the contracts that were well, from the conversion, we brought the contracts, I believe, that were active as of or expired actually as of a year ago. So you can see up to 365 days from the expiration. So he could narrow, as a contract administrator, John could narrow this list by just selecting that the number of days greater than, let's say, 50 days from the or 120 days from the current term expiration. So let's take a look at one of the contracts. For example, we will select the contract that is expiring. The current term is expiring in 111 days. And so that's the information the contract administrators can see at that new page. Mars and PeopleSoft, that is called Broward Contract Administration now. And as you can see, all these fields are open to the contract administrators to be updated if necessary. As by default, all the details for the contract are collapsed, but we can, by clicking the expand all sections, expand that information. And you can see this is the contract header notifying who is the buyer on the contract, purchasing agent, the supplier information. You saw in one of the slides, you saw I mentioned about the highlighted fields, and this is one of them that is extremely important for a vendor to get a notification, is to have a primary contact. So contract administrator's responsibility, if they know that the contact person has been changed on the vendor side, they need to notify accounting to they have to fill out a form to have that information either added or updated. That information cannot be blank. This is the accounts, the amount summary, current maximum amount for the period that is specified here, and you can see how many days this contract is expiring or needs to be renewed. That's the threshold, and you can see that as of today, it's been fully released, so the remaining amount is 0. Then the contract administrators can see all the purchase orders created against that contract. And then contract communications. That section, if clicking load the data, contains all the communication, the notifications that as of today been sent out. And you can see currently it was just sent out saying that the contract is nearing or has reached the maximum amount. And then the contract activity section shows how many renewal periods are left on the contract before the contract is renewed, and what is the amount that needs to be added to the maximum threshold upon renewal the contract. As you can see, because this is a copy of production, John has already selected the action for the next period. He selected the request type renew, and the option here same as in as used to be in Mars. There are 3 options: renew, rebid, or do not replace. And depending on the action selected, and I can just display that to you. Let's say if do not replace action is selected, there's a set of questions appearing on the screen pertaining to this specific request type. It's very similar if the contract is requested to be rebid. Also, the questions that have to be answered, and as you can see, asterisks here are marking that these fields are mandatory. So if that request type is selected and the contract administrator wants to save the page will not be saved because the mandatory fields are not populated. And the same thing, questions about if the extension is needed, yes or no. If the extension is selected to yes, what would be the extension term? And if there is a threshold amount increase required, that amount will be specified here. So if I will return to search without saving it, and I will click search again, you can see that that information did not change. So the action requested was to renew. The questions pertaining to that action were answered, and the contract and the catalogers received that in their query. So now if I will, and I can use a different browser to log in as one of the catalogers. For example, I will log in as Elizabeth. Sorry. Sorry, I didn't select the correct environment. Okay, so the catalogers will navigate to the contract, and I'm going to copy the contract ID to show you what the catalogers will see when they log in and select that contract that John has requested to renew. The INT environment has just recently built, actually last night was refreshed with production, so it takes a few moments for the page to come up. Okay, so this is the view that the catalogers have for the contract. As you can see that the expiration and renewal dates have not yet been changed. The terms listed for the future renewals are here together with the amount that the threshold has to be increased by. And that's how threshold and notifications now is different, taking into consideration all the all types of notification, not just the maximum amount that was there before. So if I will click on view all, you can see that their notifications are being sent to a certain group of people, that is the contract administrator, the purchasing agent, purchasing agent's manager, and probably the contract administrator or the delegate that was specified on the page. And in addition to maximum amount notification, you can see that their expiration and renewal notification are specified. And one of the very important one is now the notification can be sent to a vendor directly from PeopleSoft. And that was achieved by creating a generic user ID, because PeopleSoft can only send notifications to users that exist in PeopleSoft. And in order to accommodate that, the generic vendor was created that dynamically gets assigned the supplier ID, and looking at the supplier ID and the supplier's email to send that notification to the vendor. If we expand the notifications, you can see that by default, there are two fields that specify the number of days when the contract reaches 120 days prior to the renewal. The first notification goes out. If nothing happens, then second is being sent 90 days prior to the renewal. This section is maximum amount notification. You are probably all familiar with that. That's where the attributes sent related to the maximum amount when the notification needs to be sent out if it reaches certain threshold. And so now having Mars and PeopleSoft in Mars and PeopleSoft, that's another feature that was utilized. So by clicking this related content, the catalogers can see the contract administration page, and I will open it in a new window, and they can make certain changes. So they can update contract administrator if necessary, or the delegate. They can also expand and view all the information in read-only mode. They can see the notifications that the communications that were sent out. And as you can see, the questions that contract administrator answered, they're here for the catalogers. They cannot be changed. They're only in read-only mode. So they can only change the header information, not the answers that were provided by the contract administrator. Then there are queries, as I mentioned, that can be run, and catalogers and the contract administrators can navigate to the query tool and run their queries using the query viewer. Alexa, do we have any questions?
So far, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, but as you guys are processing this information, if you have any questions while Irina is in the environment, feel free to come off mute or type them in the chat so that we can address them at that time. Irina, if you want to pull up a query that they can use to kind of see what has been submitted.
Sure. Okay. So one of the queries is BCPO contract renewal action required. Okay. Okay, so that's one of the queries for the catalogers. That is providing them with the information what was required and the actions. Let me run it to HTML, I think. Okay, as you can see today, there are 75 different contracts that require action from the cataloger based on the type of request selected. And as soon as the dates are changed, those items will not appear in that query anymore. So this is one of the queries, and the second query is for the contract administrators. PO contract administrator renew.
And I just want to note here that both of these queries can be run by anyone. You guys also have the ability to go into the query viewer and run these queries and see the information.
Okay, and so this query, the contract administrators can run by the contract. They can run by the delegate, specifying the number of days expired, or by business unit. Let me put 200 days, and maybe let's do aviation. Okay, so I put a criteria for the days that the contracts are expiring within 200 days for a specific business unit, and you can see here the list of 24 contracts. you can see the contract ID, and actually by clicking this is the link, it should take you to the contract screen and the contract administrator if it's applicable, because as you see here is Nicholas Bryan from aviation. If that was him running a query, he should be able to add a renewal action row and select specific request. So this query is providing the contract, the ID contract title, the current, what's on the contract currently, begin and expire date, as well as who is the purchasing agent for the contract admin delegate, and so on. Any questions regarding the queries?
Okay, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. So Irina, if you want to go ahead and wrap up your presentation.
Well, we looked through everything. If we don't have any questions, then I'm going to stop presenting. And thank you, Alexa. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so thank you guys for attending. I'm going to give you back some time today on your calendar, which everyone is always really excited about when you can get a couple more minutes to do everything else. But as I said before, today's Lunch and Learn was to give you an overview of this new contract renewal system. Most of you were familiar with MARS, or the Master Agreement Renewal System. That was what we used before. And so just to make sure that everyone is comfortable and understands the functionality of the new system that we're using, thank you so much for attending today's Lunch and Learn. As always, if someone you know of could benefit from this information, when we send out the link to this video, feel free to share that with them, as well as if there are any other training materials or whatever, share that with them as well. And I think I saw Melissa's hand raised, or were you waving, Melissa?
Just wanted to say thank you. Very clear. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you,
Thank you for
everyone.
attending.
Thank you, Alexa.
Have a good day. Bye, guys.